It's time to break down the biggest stories of the day. This is the top 3 stories of the day on KSLSports.com. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It is time for the top 3 stories of the day at KSLSports.com, brought to you by J. Brooks Jewelers. Cherish your love with J. Brooks Jewelers. Explore their expertly crafted engagement rings made from the finest materials, J. Brooks Jewelers. All right, Christian, where do you want to start today?
Number 1, this might be the last time we get to talk about this year. BYU getting some much-needed reinforcements, according to the Big 12 title game availability reports.
Sione Moa back. Chase Roberts probably could have played last weekend, but I think they recognized they were going to crush Central Florida, so why not let him have another week off and get healthy to play in the conference championship game, and that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah, it's good because BYU's got to throw it all over him.
Yeah, I think that has more to do with BYU's offensive line than it necessarily does Chase Roberts, though Chase Roberts is still probably your most gifted receiver.
Have a guy you can get the ball to and who's going to make a play. I mean, that's a huge deal in this game in particular. I think he's extraordinarily valuable. He's not the only one on the team who can do it, but they've got to have players like that can make big-time plays in – like your point about the D-line, if he's not going to have a ton of time to throw the ball, he's got to get it out quick, and then they got to do something with it.
Chase was BYU's best player in the last game against Texas Tech. 6 receptions, 61 yards, had the touchdown. It was the lone touchdown that BYU scored. So, yeah, they need him to come out and play well, and having him healthy is going to be a big plus. But they're going to have to figure out BYU how to deal with Jacob Rodriguez and David Bailey, and I think that's what this game's going to come down to. If they can slow those guys' attack, and specifically David Bailey, who's one of the best defensive players in the country, if they can allow Bear to have time, as you mentioned, then, yeah, he can throw the ball. We've seen that, and he can actually pick teams apart, good teams. So if you give him a little bit of time to stand up there and make some decisions, great. If L.J. Martin's limited to 35 rushing yards and Bear Bachmeier can't run or is running for his life, this is going to be a tough game for BYU, similar to how it was when we watched these teams play, week 9, week 10?
Yeah, I am not disagreeing with you in the slightest here. I'm only talking about the last time these two teams played. I think BYU game plan scared of Texas Tech. Mm-hmm. So all those things that you just mentioned are certainly true. But I think they played scared against Texas Tech the first time. Go out and be aggressive. Don't be scared of the...
Well, you got nothing to lose now.
You don't be scared of the D-line. Yeah, those guys are great. No offense to those guys. They've had a terrific year. I know you cannot doubt it for 1 second. And they've won games, including the Utah game, almost single-handedly for the team. I got it. I'm not discounting them. But don't game plan that you're scared to death of that, because that's how they game planned in the first game. They were terrified of Texas Tech. They weren't going to make a mistake. It was the most – it was – remember how conservative they were with the Bear right out of the gate, and it slowly loosened? They went right back to game 1 against Texas Tech because they were scared of all of that. Well, you're not going to win. You proved you're not going to win by game planning like that.
Like that?
So make an adjustment and go out, and you know what? Maybe you lose by 30, but be aggressive. Try to move it. Come back to how did Utah beat Alabama? They came out and they got them on their heels and they beat the brakes off them because they were aggressive. And that was not the MO of that team all year long. So if you're truly playing the New York Giants out there, then you've got to have a game plan that gives yourself a chance. And being scared of the other team, it did not work in game 9. And I think they need to throw that right into the garbage can and almost like Trump derangement syndrome, just do the opposite.
Yeah. Bear Bachmeier was 23 of 38 in this first game. So he did throw the ball around, but they were playing from behind the whole time, so he had to throw the ball a little bit more. It did not allow L.J. Martin to get going, though L.J. Martin was not effective in that game. Bear also ran the ball 11 times because he was pressured so often.
He's not going to get the offense going, L.J. If you're saying run to open up the pass, I don't think
it's got to be the other way around.
I don't think it's going to work.
I think you're right.
And that, no offense to LJ, who's much more healthy going into this game, which absolutely should be a factor. But nobody has run on Texas Tech, have they? What's their worst run game of the year? I should look it up. Sorry, I shouldn't say we. Things that I should do.
L.J. Martin has been BYU's best offensive player, I think, the last 3 weeks. He had 3 touchdowns against Central Florida. He had 222 yards against Cincinnati. He had 88 yards and a touchdown against TCU. They were just blowing all those teams out. And they didn't blow Cincinnati out, but they were, for the most part, taking care of these teams. He has been crucial for them. So if they have to change that going into the conference championship game, it is a departure from what they've been comfortable with. But I do think you're right. I don't think if you go out there and allow BYU or try to just run the ball, you're going to have a lot of success against this Texas Tech team unless BYU's offensive line just has the game of their life.
Texas Tech is indeed the best team in the country against the run. Mm-hmm. Surrendering, this is crazy, 69 yards per game on the ground. And, Ben, they've only given up 5 touchdowns on the ground all year.
Have they given up a 100-yard rushing game?
I don't know that yet. I'm trying to get into their game logs as far as rush defense goes. But, those stats would indicate if they have, and it hasn't been many.
Yeah, 69 yards is nothing. You basically can't get off the ground there. So, very impressive.
Let's see here. Okay, I've got it for you, Ben. Arkansas Pine Bluff, they gave up 53, 63 to Kent State, a whopping 8 to Oregon State, 101 to Utah, 103 to Houston, 47 against Kansas, 75 against Arizona State, 95 against Oklahoma State. Your Wildcats of Kansas State, Ben, 126 for a season high. BYU 67, UCF 52, West Virginia 37.
So a couple of times. But they're not giving up 150.
What do you mean a couple of times? Even 126 sucks.
Yeah, it's a terrible night. Yeah, it's a terrible game.
That's their season high. So LJ Martin in the run game is always important, but I don't think they're going to be able to establish themselves in that manner. I don't think that's going to be a thing.
Agreed.
And Utah ran the ball for 101 yards. That wasn't for lack of trying. They had 31 attempts and couldn't run the ball with one of the better offensive lines, certainly in the conference. So I don't think...
Number 2 rushing attack in the entire country.
Yeah, right. 101 yards. Great point, Christian.
In their lone loss, they lost to Arizona State. Pulling this up.
And it wasn't because of the run.
It was not. Arizona State threw for... Oh, this isn't the actual box score. I can pull it up really quickly. Arizona State outscored them 26-22 and had 320 yards to the air, 319. So that's probably going to be your best pathway. Yeah, you'd have to have 300 passing yards from Bear.
That's how it's going to have to go.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see if they do it.
You need some turnovers from Bear and Morton.
All right, next.
Number 2, NBA news. We've got the Jazz in Brooklyn tonight. But speaking of New York, Giannis Antetokounmpo popping up in trade rumors.
He and his people have begun to discuss, according to Shams Charania at ESPN, whether or not he should stay in Milwaukee long term. So they're talking about that with Milwaukee's front office, which basically I think means Milwaukee has given them permission to go and set up trades with other teams, and then Milwaukee can decide if they like any of those trades or if that's a starting point. That's kind of how this stuff tends to work. So we will see where that goes. I expect Milwaukee to trade Giannis at some point, whether it's this season. It's kind of hard to do in season. For a player like Giannis to get to his $54 million salary, you're going to have to take several players back, unless you're trading him for another $54 million player. There's just not many of those guys. So you're going to have to take multiple players back, which makes it difficult because you do have roster limits of how many players you actually have on your roster. So unless it's multiplayer, multi-trade, then the money gets really difficult. It's
you can
hard.
Assume they'll package Thanasis.
You would think, Thanasis is going to go as well. Like, he's going to go with some of his brothers. But it's hard to do these in season. So I'm a little skeptical it'll get done this year.
If this was even a possibility, why didn't Milwaukee do it in the offseason?
They should have. They made the big swing buying out or essentially waiving and stretching Dame to go and get Miles Turner, hoping that would allow them to continue to keep this dream alive or keep the band together a little bit, the band being Giannis and his 2 brothers that also play for the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, and the consultant, Doc Rivers, was going to be the one to make that symphony hum, huh?
Yeah. So, no, this ship has been not even gradually sinking, but pretty dramatically sinking for a while now. And, you can go back, and if you want to criticize Danny Ainge and Ryan Smith and the Jazz for trading Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell too early. I think there's an argument to be made there. They also didn't want to get to this point where this is constantly hanging over you. The body is dead, and you're just trying to figure out what you can get back for it. And that's where the Milwaukee Bucks are.
It's funny. Roster maintenance is such a big deal. If you look at the Bulls roster during the first 3 championship runs and the second 3 championship runs, they are very different.
Extraordinarily different.
If you look at the Patriots in the NFL, the first Super Bowl compared to like the 4th Super Bowl compared to the 7th Super Bowl, entirely different.
Yeah, only one thing's the same.
Only one thing is the same. And those moves for prolonged success are obviously critical. And Milwaukee sunk themselves the day they made the Damian Lillard deal. And you and I talked about it that day. I remember the show saying this is not only not going to help the Bucks, but it's going to hurt the Bucks, which it did. And then Dame getting hurt is really a kind of a sad ending to his time in Milwaukee because it's not Dame's fault. But that was not what that team needed to maintain an NBA championship roster. It was misdiagnosed by the GM, and they made a bad move that they can't get out from under. And the day they made that move, it was over. So Oklahoma City, just for an example, they're in an interesting spot where they're going to be good, and they could be really good for a long time. But if they make the wrong maintenance move, let's say Oklahoma City cashes out the rest of that draft capital and makes a move for Giannis. And all of a sudden he and Shea way overlap and it doesn't really work together. And then all of a sudden what could have been a generational basketball team made the wrong move and now is capped out against the second apron, can't do anything, no more resources because they cashed it in for the wrong thing, and it's over. It could have been 3 titles, but it's over.
We've talked about margin for error in the college football playoff. Because of the new tax aprons in the NBA, the margin for error is very slim. So even if you feel like you're 1,000 miles ahead of anybody else in the league, a la the Oklahoma City Thunder, it can come crashing down very quickly, and that's what teams like Milwaukee have recognized. Or Phoenix, who you remember they played each other in the same finals when Giannis got his title there in Milwaukee. Those were the same team together, and Phoenix has been the laughingstock of the NBA now for 12 to 18 months, and Milwaukee is trying to avoid being that level of laughingstock, but they've not had any more success.
Maxing out Michael Porter Jr. prevented the Nuggets from winning multiple championships.
Yes, it did.
I'm not going to take away his credit because he was on a championship team, so good on you. But that contract made it so they couldn't win multiple. Yes. Now, we'll see if their recovery moves turn out to be savvy and they're back in the mix. But they could have had multiple titles if they did not max out Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah.
This is the stuff I love about the NBA. It's like if Giannis gets moved, it way depends on the price and where he goes. It could totally change everything, or it could be a huge disaster.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Number 3, the Mammoth bounced back in a big way. Biggest, most lopsided win in franchise history.
I think it's Vemelka's first shutout. I think it's only the second shutout in franchise history. I know Staub had one last year, Stauber. The third string.
7-0, by the way.
But 7-0 is crazy. Yeah. And it got started early, and it just did not stop throughout the entire night. It was a very balanced effort. And you did feel, urgency, which had not been the case recently. They had just looked really desperate. And I do think bringing up some of the young guys in Daniil Boot and Maverick Lamoureux just kind of gave them a spark. And sometimes you have to have those young guys that keep everybody ignited. And while I think that excitement probably came last year from Logan Cooley and Dylan Gunther and some of the guys they had, I think that pressure this year to just make the playoffs kind of eliminated maybe some of the fun. And it seems like the fun was back last night. They were seemingly loving it.
Well, yeah, 7-0. Yeah,
it's a fun game.
Everybody loves playing when it's 7-0.
Yeah.
And the Mighty Ducks aren't great, right?
They're a lot. I think they're like 16-9 and 16-10-1. They're much better than the Mammoth. So that was a good win. That was a really good win. On the road. They desperately needed it. We'll see if now they can turn it into anything.
All right, yeah, 7-0. Why did they get rid of the Mighty? That was stupid.
I bought a Anaheim Ducks jersey this morning. I'm pretty excited about it. I found it at the thrift store. I stop at the thrift sometimes before I come into work.
Was it the Mighty Ducks?
Was it the orange or green one?
Purple and green.
Ah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Okay. Happy for you.
Because it's a great logo. And you're right. Why did they get rid of the Mighty? It was awesome.
The Mighty was great.
Yeah, and I found one this morning. I was very thrilled about it. So.
The Mammoth, have significantly fewer points than the Ducks. So, yeah, the Ducks are better.
Yeah, 16-10-1 now. Mammoth are 13-12-3. But they're back in the wild card spot, so they needed it. Again, this is the point. As much as they had struggled, they had not fully erased that 7-game winning streak and all the points they got out of that. They just got to maintain this. It can't be a one-off.
All right, stay tuned. We'll have more Jake and Ben coming up next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.